Right, good evening there, and I'm hoping you're doing quite okay. So, ministry that is CS for transport, that is Kipchumba Murkomen, instituted measures to curb road carnage. That is, owing to the ongoing number of increased cases of accidents. Some of the measures that he had instituted, of course, sparked, outrage among drivers, some of which threatened to take action, that is striking. Well, this has continued to elicit reaction among drivers, and tonight we engage the stakeholders in this transport industry. I'm talking about Samuel Musumba, Manager Road Safety Program and Data, that is NTCA. Then Elijah Nyaga, Chairman, Long Distance Drivers and Conductors Association. Later on, we'll be talking to them on our broadcast about some of the measures and why they think there is a bone of contention and how the best way forward to move as a country. All right, that will be coming later on, but our reporters have been up and running to bring you up to speed with the latest in the world of politics, business, and sport. But first thing first, here is our top stories tonight. Tonight, brace for another wave of Wednesday demos as AUMA to resume anti-government protest on Wednesday next week. Stop chaos and anarchy. Ruto and Kenya Kwanza fire warning to Uhuru and Raila over demonstrations. Also tonight, which way Kenya? 56% of Kenyans think the country is heading in the wrong direction as cost of living skyrocket. Plus, alright, Samuel Kelo is on our sign language interpreter tonight. My name is AUMA Evans. Remember, you can follow this broadcast on all of our social media platforms, and we are live on YouTube. You can tweet us at KUTV_Kenya at AUMA Evans. Remember to use the hashtag Primetime News. Now, we begin our story with the following in the latest, that is as far as demonstration is concerned. The Azimio Umoja coalition has put a blame of 14 deaths of protesters on the brutality unleashed by police during yesterday's demonstration. Speaking in a press conference this evening, Azimio leaders Raila Odinga has denied any destruction of property by protesters, claiming that the excessive use of police force on Wednesday was uncalled for. So far, the Wednesday protest death toll stands at 14, and the party has called for 5 days of national mourning before resuming another round of protest on Wednesday next week. The opposition has also condemned the arrest of Wycliffe Oparanya and Mavoko Member of Parliament Patrick Makau, reiterating that they will not yield to government intimidation.
We demand immediate and unconditional dropping of all charges against Honorable Makau and Honorable Paranya, who has been arrested just this evening, and all those who are arrested for participating in a constitutionally protected action of protesting against punitive policies.
Tumeona vitisho mengi zaidi, vile wanavyoongea, unatisha sisi. Watu watashikwa, wanataka kuharibu uchumi na kadhalika. Sisi tumesema wazi ya kwamba sisi tutafanya kila kitu kutumia sheria. Hakuna maovu tumefanya. Na wakiona kama wanasema tumefanya maovu, tumekiuka sheria, tuko tayari kushikwa na kupelekwa mahakamani.
Still on demos aftermath, senior officials within Kenya Kwanza government have bitterly condemned the opposition in the wake of anti-government protest, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has issued stern warning to leaders responsible for organizing or inciting protest, warning that government may withdraw their security. And as our very own Party Kodwo reports, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi have also called out Azimio leaders reckless.
CS Kindiki has expressed his strong disapproval of the ongoing anti-government protest, labeling them as unlawful acts of terrorism. Kindiki, who was speaking during the official opening of Kiserian Police Station today, emphasized that the government will not show leniency towards leaders who violate the law.
Watu ambao wanajificha kwa siasa, wakijisingizia ya kwamba wanatekeleza haki zao za kibinadamu na ya kidemokrasia, ili hali ni wahalifu, sio siasa wanafanya.
The CS, who defended security agencies involved in the violent protest, took the blame to the demonstrators, who he says must be held to account. He urged police officers to act decisively and without hesitation when encountering criminals disguised as demonstrators.
Wale wote ambao wamehusika lazima tuwashtaki na lazima wahukumiwe wote.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has also criticized the protest planners and called upon relevant authorities to act firmly against them.
How much blood must you shed, Raila Odinga, for you to be satisfied? The people of Kenya rejected you 5 times. Wamekukataa wa Kenya.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, who is also displeased by the unrest, has gone further to blame Azimio for obstructing the implementation of the Finance Act 2023, thus placing the economy at risk.
Kwa hivyo, kile sisi tunauliza, wale ambao wanazidi kufanya hali ya makadirio kuwa kisingizio, lakini lengo lao kabisa ni kwamba hawajasadiki, hawajaamini kwamba walipoteza uchaguzi.
The running battles between police officers and protesters yesterday across the country led to the death of 11 people, scores of injuries, as well as destruction of properties. The Azimio leadership has, however, remained firm in the fight against government, vowing not to relent until President William Ruto gives in to their demands. Patrick Odur, KUTV.
Right, still matters Azimio demos and its aftermath. Now, Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen says that the Nairobi Expressway renovation will cost government more than 700 million shillings. Murkomen now wants those involved in destruction of the expressway during Wednesday protest to pay for its renovation. Our political affairs reporter Joseph Case reports on a day that Mavoko Member of Parliament Patrick Makau was arrested in relation to the protest, grilled and later released by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation Officers.
Roads and Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has said that approximately more than 700 million shillings will be spent on the renovation of Nairobi Expressway that was destroyed during yesterday's mass action. Murkomen, who addressed the media at the expressway today, insisted that those who vandalized the public property must carry the cost of its renovation.
Wakuwe tayari wakutane na sisi kotini kwa mambo ya ile wamefanya. Tutahakikisha kwamba njia ya kisheria imehakikisha wao wamelipa kwa mambo ambayo yalitendeka hapa.
Murkomen says that some of the rioters engaged in the destruction and were captured by surveillance cameras and have since been arrested. Murkomen says that those in custody will lead the police to other perpetrators.
We are going to give maximum support to the security team to make sure that we identify all those who perpetrated this heinous act yesterday. Number 2, as per the agreement we have on Moja Express, the people of Kenya, the taxpayer, is going to pay for this damage. We will not allow the already overburdened Wanjiku to pay this on their own.
The Cabinet Secretary has, however, assured the road users that the government will renovate the expressway without delay.
Our friends from China and the investments they have here have full support and protection of the government of Kenya. And we will do everything possible to ensure that you are back immediately, back to operation as normal, and that no one will sabotage this very important infrastructure.
At the same time, Mavoko MP Patrick Makau has been released from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters after being arrested at 4 a.m. today morning on allegations of participating in the destruction of the Nairobi Expressway. Trade and Investment Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria has however alleged that the destruction of property along the expressway was as a result of the eviction of squatters from the East Africa Company land, Macau being one of the evictees. Joseph Kess, KUTV.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Case, for that report. Now, switching gears, a significant number of Kenyans believe that the country is heading towards the wrong direction. That is according to National Survey report released by the Trends and Insight for Africa, that is TIFA. A vast majority of 56% perceive Kenya to be in the wrong track, especially in the ever-increasing cost of living. The survey also sought to find out views about the overall performance of Kenya Kwanza government since it took reins of power 10 months ago.
The current state of economy has stood majority of Kenyans into perceiving the government's failure in delivering its campaign promises. A national survey report by TIFA shows that over 50% of Kenyans believe the country is heading towards the wrong direction, the proportion having increased by 8% since March this year. 37% of Kenyans believed the country is heading in the right direction in March, but in less than 3 months, only 25% maintained the perception. The ever-increasing cost of living proved to be the main reason behind the drop in trust, followed by the leadership of Kenya Kwanza government. In the survey conducted between 24th and 30th June, Ruto's government has scored below average in its performance, teetering at an average mean score rating of C+. Notably, Hustler Fund launch and the fertilizer subsidy have been mentioned among top achievements of President Ruto. Else in the performance gauge of Ruto's senior official, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has received the most mentions, rating at 34%. Kindiki has maintained the lead from the previous survey in March. He is being followed by Cabinet Secretaries Ezekiel Mashogu, Susan Nakumisha, Ababu Namwamba and Kipchumba Murkomen. However, 40% of Kenyans feel that there is no senior official who can be rated as best performing. This is the second report by TIFA on the performance of Kenya Kwanza government after the first report earlier this year. Joseph Oyomo, KUTV.
Meanwhile, President William Ruto has today toured Tharaka Nithi and Kitui counties, where he unveiled Chogoria water supply project and issued title deeds. Ruto was accompanied by his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, condemned yesterday's protest, which led to deaths and destruction of property. Lynette Maina now reports.
Accompanied by Deputy President as well as other government officials, President William Ruto led the launch of development projects during his tour of Tharaka Nithi and Kitui counties today. Projects unveiled include Chogoria water supply project and issuing of title deeds to Kagundo's residents, while pledging to ensure that students hailing from poor families will be given full scholarships in higher learning institutions. President Ruto also promised affordable fertilizers to farmers in efforts to boost the country's food production.
Kuhakikisha kwamba mtoto wa kila Mkenya, hasa wale wa Kenya ambao wako chini, wanapata nafasi ya kusomesha watoto wao, so that we can also create equality in the Republic of Kenya. Ile mbolea mlikuwa mnauziwa shilingi 5,600, tulisema ikuje shilingi 3,500. Na tumefanya hiyo Kenya mzima. Tumesambaza mbolea karibu magunia milioni 4. Na wakulima wamefanya bidii mpaka hata wameongeza ardhi yenye wamezalisha chakula.
The president and leaders accompanying him also took advantage of the event to answer back at Raila Odinga-led Azimio la Umoja, who they condemned the fueling of the recent wave of anti-government protest. Death, injuries and destructions were the marks of yesterday's countrywide protest.
Sisi mambo ya mauaji hatujui, mambo ya kuharibu mali hatujui. Sisi ni watu ya kuchunga mali na kutafuta mali, na ndio tunasikia mbaya tukiona Peter Munya ametumwa hapa na Raila kuchafua hapa Meru na Tharaka Nithi. Akwende. Na sisi tunasema tutakuwa na mkutano ya viongozi, ndio tuongee mambo ya huyu Peter Munya, huyu Nderito Mureithi, huyu Kioni na huyu Mwangi wa Iria na Martha Karua.
President Ruto later proceeded to Kitui County, where he issued the title deeds to Kagundo residents. Leaders present expressed confidence in the leadership of President Ruto, assuring him that
we are promising you kwamba tutaenda kila sehemu ya nchi hii ili wananchi waweze kupata hizi haki miliki. Mwananchi anapopata hiyo haki miliki anaweza kujikuza kimaisha.
Hauwezi tafuta uongozi kwa njia ya kuua watoto wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Hawa watu ndio walienda kwa debe kupiga kura na kuchagua rais wanayetaka. Kama hawakukupenda na hukupendwa na hupendeki, kaa kando uache kazi ifanywe.
President Ruto's development tours may be part of what he needs to convince a restless citizenry that the government is working to better their lives. Linet Maina, KUTV.
Right, President William Ruto has today hosted Kenya-Saudi Arabia business delegation comprising more than 30 Saudi firms for a meeting at State House here in Nairobi. President Ruto pledged to align the country's law and policies to support more investors in housing, livestock, among other sectors, owing to the geostrategic location of Kenya that will help investors access global market. Saudi Arabia Minister of Investment Khalid Ali Fali is looking forward to harness the potential of Kenya's economy, which he says is promising. President Ruto also revealed 1 million jobs available for Kenya in Saudi Arabia.
We will continue to engage with the private sector. We will continue to engage with our investors so that we can align our laws and align our policies to make sure that they support our investors to invest in our country and they support our business people for them to set up camp in our country.
With a GDP of 120 billion, a population over 50 million, a great strategic location is only part of what is at stake for these great companies that accompany me today. We see you as our landing point for not only East Africa, but for Central Africa.
Elsewhere, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua today spearheaded the official launch of 15.9 billion project to boost pastoralist economies for 21 arid and semi-arid counties in Laikipia. Gachagua, who was accompanied by several national and local leaders, recognized the contribution of livestock subsector and promised government support towards making the project a success.
In an event attended by Laikipia residents, national and local leaders, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua officially launched Drive Livestock project targeting to benefit 21 counties in arid and semi-arid areas.
I'm therefore happy to be part of this official launch of 15.9 billion Kenya shillings project in de-risking, inclusion and value enhancement, that is drive of pastoral economies for 21 arid and semi-arid lands counties.
The DP also promised to defeat the banditry menace in the pastoral counties for the farmers to fully benefit from the livestock keeping ventures. The DP added that the Ruto administration will revitalize the livestock subsector to tap into existing and emerging markets globally.
Livestock farmers will enjoy improved access to affordable index-based drought insurance and other financial services like savings and credit. They will also be linked to the labor markets while promoting youth and women in the livestock value chain through private-public partnership.
Besides praising government for the project which will benefit locals, Laikipia leaders thanked the government for fulfilling its promise to fight insecurity in the area, promising to support the Ruto's government. Laikipia leaders further asked the government to solve the water problem in the area.
Naibu wa Rais, shida tulionayo kubwa hapa ni jilali. Wakati wote kuna kiangazi. Kile ambacho tungeomba, shida ya kwanza ya Laikipia ni ukosefu wa maji. Shida ya pili ni ukosefu wa maji. Shida ya tatu ni ukosefu wa maji. Sisi tunakuomba angalau mambo ya boreholes, mambo ya dam ziangaliwe.
Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithuka Linturi said that the government has a good plan for pastoralists and they are working to ensure that they bring them together through cooperatives and search for a good market for their livestock.
Toka kule chini. Na kwa wakati unaona tuko na mpango wa kuwaleta wafugaji pamoja through cooperatives, through financial support, na pia kuhakikisha ya kwamba hata ng'ombe ama mifugo inatafutiwa bei.
Gachagua also witnessed the launch of Kenya Parliamentary Conservation Climate Change Caucus, where he challenged MPs to formulate laws that strengthen response to climate change and boost environmental conservation. Jacob Okello, KUTV.
Alright, that story by Jacob Okello takes us to our first break here on KUTV Primetime News. Remember, when we come back, of course, we'll be diving direct into the standoff between the Ministry of Transport and, of course, the key players in the transport industry. I'm talking about the drivers, that is the matatu drivers and long-distance drivers. And there's a discussion that we'll be diving in immediately after the break. In studio, I'll be joined by Samuel Musumba, Manager, Road Safety Program and Data, that is at the National Transport and Safety Authority. Then Elijah Nyaga, Chairman, Long-Distance Drivers and Conductor Association. See in a bit.
Kutoka kuwa jamii ya kuhamahama na sasa kujumuisha kilimo katika mitindo yao ya maisha. Kwenye toleo la kaunti ya Narok, hii ni Boresha Kilimo, kwani afya bora ni kilimo bora. Kwani kilimo ndicho huboresha maisha.
Kenyatta University will hold its 53rd graduation ceremony on Friday, 21st July 2023 at the main campus along Thika Superhighway. KUTV will provide live coverage of the graduation ceremony from 8 a.m. The graduation ceremony will also be streamed live on KUTV, KU website, Lola app, and all KU social media platforms. For more information, please contact the Office of the Registrar Academic on 020-870-3092 or 0786-335-111 or visit the KU website on www.ku.ac.ke. Kenyatta University, transforming higher education, enhancing lives.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
People pass vuguvugu. People pass ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za tarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahodha mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalunukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
Alright, welcome back, and this is where we pick this discussion. Now, let me throw to you some quick statistics and figures that is many believe to be a bone of contention. Now, the Ministry of Transport, led by Kipchumba Murkomen, had issued directive to all, school heads as far as transportation is concerned. And one of the key things that were of genuine concern and consideration that will be guiding the operation of schools as far as transport is concerned, well, Murkomen banned the travel between 10 to 5 a.m. and want school heads to ensure that school buses are fitted with functional self-belt and approved functional speed gadget. On drivers' part and the commercial vehicles, that is, drivers will be subjected to a mandatory driving reset before the renewal of their driving license from June 1st, 2023. Then speed vendors, that is 57 licensed speed limit vendors, to install approved gadget that will limit speed and of course record speed data after every 5 seconds. Transmit data to both the National Transport and Safety Authority, that is NTCA, and the vendor server, and report violation in real time. Well, there is Traffic Act. In line of all this, there is Traffic Act that goes with it, and that is Section 30, Clause 6 of the Traffic Act, that is Chapter 403 of the Traffic Act, that provide that a driver of a public service vehicle or a commercial vehicle shall be required to undergo every 3 years a driving test under Section 39 successfully as condition for each renewable of the license. Well, out of this, there is now that what actually led to this, and I'm talking about the numbers of deaths that had been recorded by the National Transport and Safety Authority, and as of as of January 1st and 13th of December, they reported over 4,000 deaths, and of March, and as of March of this year all the way, they have reported over 900 deaths, and this necessitated this action to curb the ongoing cases of road accident, the latest being the Londiani accident that claimed over 50 lives. Well, joining me in studio, of course, is my guest here. Of course, this is now time that I want to dive you into this particular conversation. And of course, thank you so much for making time to speak to us. This issue, of course, of road transport and these measures that have been instituted, to some, they feel there is a sense of, a knee-jerk reaction. What exactly is happening?
I think what I can say is the Ministry of Transport.
All right.
it's either it has neglected its mandates, or maybe someone somewhere has been sleeping on his job.
Okay.
Yeah, because why should the act be put under the pillow?
Mm-hmm.
There has been no sensitization. Most drivers don't know about the NTSA Act, the Traffic Acts. And we feel like when the government comes out and now starts implementing things without involvement of the key stakeholders,
right,
becomes a kind of a knee-jerk reaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about the involvement, but let me now, chip in Samuel Musumba. Well, good evening, and if you can hear me now, you can see there is some gaps that have been pinpointed on your part as the National Transport and Safety Authority. Do you think you've done enough to, of course, educate drivers on the need, of course, to keep safety, the road safety, and all this that comes into place so that we can avert the ongoing, or rather the increased cases of road accident? All right, we'll get back to you, Samuel, just in a bit. Well, you talk about, the authority not doing enough in terms of offering educations to, drivers. Do you think, of course, you went to school for a couple of months just to get to go through the basics? Do you think it's a matter of ignorance of what is happening?
I think someone somewhere has been sleeping on their jobs, because it's the government's work or the bodies that are mandated to implement road safety in Kenya to sensitize road users.
All right.
And in particularly the key stakeholders who are the drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody somewhere has been sleeping on this job.
Okay.
That is what I will say.
All right.
Now, because it's a new era, drivers are now getting to realize that they need to stand for their rights. They need to take what is theirs.
Okay.
So I think a time has come where we have to put the government at stake, where we have to question the people who are supposed to do it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, Samuel, Elijah here tells me somebody somewhere is sleeping on the job. On your side, as the National Road Safety, of course, Transport and Safety Authority, have you slept on the job?
Good evening. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you for having me this evening to engage on this, we call it a very emotional matter, particularly when we are talking about issues road transport and safety in this country. Let me say from the onset that as an authority, really our mandate is to coordinate and manage matters of transport and safety in this country. And particularly, a lot of our efforts have been to ensure that every road user in this country is informed on safe road use. And we do that within the law, which is the Traffic Act that guides issues on the road. We do that within really the law. We also do this within the best practice. We've adopted best practice out there that really supports our interventions. And let me say this, that if you look at our statistics to this year, there has been a reduction, so to speak. It may not really be so big, but at least there's a reduction, actually to about 1.8% reduction in terms of traffic crashes and fatalities. And if you look at this reduction, we've come a long way. I'll tell you that the kind of interventions we come up with to ensure that every road user is actually informed about the law, is informed about issues around safety when they're on that road, from the pedestrians, to drivers, to the passengers themselves. There have been a lot of spirited campaigns targeted at creating sufficient public education and awareness on matters road transport and safety. When we were formed in 2012, I'll tell you that we found a space that this information was not there. I will tell you that for a fact. The only time you ever heard about information around issues, road transport and safety, was during those days of VOK, that was Voice of Kenya. And there used to be this traffic officer who used to come, I think he has retired these days, Mr. Kimaro, and he would come on radio and say, you hear that song of Dereva, Chunga Maisha. I mean, that was the only thing you had ever heard about issues safety. And he will be there announcing the numbers, and the next thing you hear that song of Dereva, Chunga Maisha. I mean, if you asked any Kenyan that time, that really, what is this that is leading to all these issues? Honestly, he will tell you, Sijui, I don't know. But today, there's every Kenyan somewhere who will tell you, I heard HSC say this, I heard government say this, I heard it is not right to drive when you are drunk. We've seen people arrested. Don't drive when you're on phone. I mean, this information is really out there. We have tried to educate Kenyans. Now, let me also add that we've had very targeted engagement with the drivers. That one, and my brother in that studio, he should actually, representing the drivers, I'm sure he should be able to know this. We have engaged the PSV drivers one-on-one, in many forums, and I'll tell you that, educating them about these issues. The circle management, all these issues have been taken to. We have tried our level best to ensure that this information is out there. And through the media, I mean, you guys are here. We have been on this platform for actually many times. What are we doing? Just creating this necessary awareness. So I wonder where we miss out, and it would say that somebody sleeping on the job, he has not done enough. I will tell you, there's so much that has gone into public education. And we are doing this deliberately because if you look at our issues on the road, 90% is purely behavior-related instances, nothing else, not rocket science. If you look at those numbers that you've projected just a while ago, out of this, 90% is behavior. About 10% will go to mechanical issues and other environmental issues, road issues and all that. But 90% is behavior. So the question to us as government, and where we sit, is really, how do we fix behavior? Behavior takes time to change. Behavior is not an event issue. You cannot just wake up and say, hey, let's do this event and then we change behavior. It takes a bit of time. And actually, the journey we have taken towards behavior change, okay, I will tell you with authority that there's so much that has gone
Hang on, just a little bit.
Schools now where we stay.
Hang on, just a little bit.
So many that are in those schools as we speak today. So really, there's so much around it. Perhaps we are not shouting enough, but there's so much going on in terms of public education. I
hear you. Well, you have spoken about the measures that you have, as institution have, come out with to make sure like you educate drivers and the members of public. And I want to draw your attention to some of them. This is your own statistics, and actually, as far as the conduct of drivers and the usage of the signage is concerned, and you draw a very worrying statistics that out of this you said like basics, most of drivers lack basic, and yet you talk about vigorous campaigns to educate drivers, members of public, on the importance of paying more emphasis on this basics of the road usage. How will you explain this? Is it lack of failures, or is it just the ignorant part from drivers, or somewhere along the line there is something very basic component that you're missing on your side. How will you explain this?
Let me say that in as much as there are all those campaigns we're talking about here, but often or not you will meet these drivers, sometimes even repeating the same offense. I'll tell you, when we're doing our enforcement bit of it with the National Police Service, you can arrest a driver this weekend who was drunk and driving. Come the next weekend again, you read the same guy again. Another weekend again, the same guy. You know, it tells you that it's not that they lack this knowledge, but it just tells you that there's a bit of defiance somewhere in this particular person. Because you cannot tell me, today I've questioned you, tomorrow I'm still questioning you, and you still do the same thing.
All right.
Two wrongs can end right at all.
Let me get reaction from Elijah here. Elijah,
yes.
There is some, Samuel says two wrongs can't make a right.
Yes.
And of course, when you look at the statistics, it's worrying.
Very
the
worrying.
Basics component.
Yes.
What is happening? Is it ignorant, or you're just,
I think I will agree with him that they've made a lot of, they've done a lot of campaigns, but I think they're not involving the right people to do the campaign.
Okay.
You see, for example, if I'm coming to your home,
okay,
and I want to talk to you, will I come direct to you or to your parents?
Well, when you talk about not involving the right people, and I want you to put us into context here,
Yes.
What do you mean? Who do they approach? Is not drivers
I think
themselves?
their approach is a bit different, because for them they're targeting to approach drivers directly. When NTSA came on our roads, and that is where the difference came, drivers felt like these guys have come to attack us.
Okay.
So they created the enmity. So whenever they see NTSA anywhere, in Shida Baba, so that fear came into drivers. So anytime they see a green reflector, even at that time when hata kama msoa pikipiki angevaa reflector ya green, they thought ni NTSA.
Okay.
So the fear went inside drivers. They started fearing NTSA. So whenever they see NTSA on the road, there has to be that fear, and they cannot relate well with NTSA.
So according to you, it's fears that caused the accident. Or
yes, there's no good relationship between NTSA and the drivers.
Okay.
And also NTSA are not involving us as an association that can reach to drivers and speak in their own language. They're not involving us to do it.
Okay.
Because we believe they can listen to our language more than they can listen to their language.
Okay.
So there's that big gap that connects NTSA and drivers, which can only be breached by people who can be able to understand the language between NTSA and the drivers.
If they're not listening to you, then who are they listening to?
NTSA.
NTSA.
That is, now I can also ask you that question.
Okay. Well, let's get the answers from the man himself. It's a good thing he's here.
Yeah.
Well, Samuel, the bone of contention here is, this. There has been push and pull between drivers and, of course, from your end. And when we are getting now to the elephant in the room, of course, and this is some of the measures that had been proposed by Transport Secretary, that is Cabinet Secretary Murkomen. And one of the things was the retesting. And this is where I will say, a lot of things actually hell broke loose on this one. Well, there seems to be some sort of misunderstanding, or rather lack of communication from your side, and of course from the driver's side or point of view. How will you address this now that there is a big issue on the table that need to be addressed as soon as possible?
Thank you. I want to say that the framers of the law in regulating the transport sector, particularly public service transport sector in this country, the thinking around it was that this sector self-regulates itself. That was the thinking around it. And that's the spirit of the law. It's self-regulation. Self-regulation means what? That you yourself, the investor in this sector, work very closely with the other players in the industry to ensure that your business thrives well and your business is safe and your business operating the law that you've been licensed to do. But now when it comes to implementation of self-regulation, I think that's where we have put it all wrong, because some of these players in the industry thought or think that I've been given that authority, I can do anything that I want. And they will go around circumventing even the same law that has allowed them to be self-regulated. Umepewa uhuru wa kufanya kazi fulani. Why don't you do it within the law, within the regulation? Because ultimately, when they come to register their business with us, there is even a code of conduct that they present to us and other requirements that they do. The working relationship between ourselves in that framework of self-regulation, working with the sector, is that we communicate, we dialogue, we inform, we educate. And that's the relationship that we have with them. There is no time that we have missed out to engage these players in the industry. Anytime we come up with any regulation, and we don't see the Constitution, that you have to involve the players or the people who will be affected by that particular regulation. And that's really what we've been doing. I will tell you that we have had a lot of engagements, a lot of meetings with the SACCO management, the company management, on many things. And out there, I can mention so many SACCOs and companies that are doing so well because they have realized why investing in safety and in the business is important. That safety and security of your business goes hand in hand. Now, one thing that we have been urging the companies and the SACCOs to do is to invest in building capacity of the human resource, which is the drivers. Because this driver, you can imagine, you have bought a whole bus worth 10 million shillings, for example. And then he goes and lands this bus into somewhere, into a ditch. Oh, and he was drunk and driving. You can imagine. It's so painful. It's such a cost to the investor. Now, when we are talking about retesting, it's refresher trainings and retesting, honestly, it's about still building that capacity. And the investors know it's within the law. You just read Section 36, Section 39 of the Act. It's very clear on this, that they have to go through. Now, why are they going through these refresher trainings and retesting? It's because over time, which is normal for us human beings, over time, you need to improve on your skills. Over time, so many things are changing, even on your body. Right. Physically, mentally, so many things are changing. Okay. So really, when you're saying, can you come and go back to this refresher training and retesting, it's not a punishment. But we're saying, can we still improve the skills of the human resource? Okay. How about are we able to again build up the skills? Are we able again to see, are they okay still to drive that route? Fair enough. Because at least it's a long time and it takes a bit of that time. That's why we proposed the retesting and the refresher. It's not a punishment at all. Fair enough. It's just to improve your business. Yes. Okay. Well, you have heard him, and let me read to you Section 30, Clause 6 of, this Traffic Act. Of course, the traffic provides that a driver of a public service vehicle or a commercial vehicle shall be required to undergo every 3 years a driving test under Section 39 successfully as a condition for each renewal of the license. Well, I've seen many drivers protesting against this. Why will you protest against an act that is already enshrined and it's actually a law and you know that? Why?
The law says driving test. Driving, test.
All right.
But on this case, it's about the papers.
Okay.
So they give you paper, a pen and a paper, and some questions. You do that, it's like an exam you're doing, you fill, then you take it back, you wait for your results. That's where the difference is. And on our side, we're asking NTSA, what value does it add when you give me a pen and a paper to answer questions? And in the real fact, I'll be outside there driving. Driving is practical and not theory. So our recommendation to NTSA is it's better if they can provide defensive driving classes under their fee.
All right. Well, hold on just a minute. You have spoken about driving being practical. Yes, in as much as we agree, but there is a theory part of it. How will you explain in a scenario where there is a road sign clearly indicating that when you reach at this point, you have to stop first because there is a zebra crossing? Because that is a very, basic component of a driving school. If a driver failed that test, do you think he's worthy to actually
in the first place
operate in the road?
In the first place.
All right.
Why was the driver given a license if he didn't attend a driving school class and passed that class? Number two, you know very well we have very few signs in Kenya, which are very common.
Okay.
And when you go to this test they're giving us, you'll find some unusual signs that are not common on the Kenya roads.
Okay.
So that's why we are complaining. Why should I go for a test that's not adding value to my driving career?
But even as we wind up this discussion, do you believe that there is some genuine concern from this? Of course, if you can't actually, only 16%, passing a test.
That's why I said.
Does it worry you?
Yes,
from your side?
And that is why I said NTSA should work with the Ministry of Transport and introduce defensive driving classes at their own fee, because we are paying for renewing of driving license 3 years at a cost of 3,000.
Fair enough. Gentlemen, actually, we are running out of time, and I think this is where we'll have to end it, this discussion. Thank you so much for always, making time. Samuel Musumba, Manager Road Safety Program and Data at the National Transport and Safety Authority. Thank you so much for making time, sir.
Thank you so much also for giving us the opportunity to speak to Kenyans about these things. And I just want to encourage my brother Elijah and his team, let's take up this refresher training, this retesting. It's important. It's really helpful for building our skills and knowledge and improving road safety on our roads.
All right.
Continue. Learning does not stop.
Thank you.
Learning continues.
Okay.
So this is really.
Thank you. And Elijah Nyaga, that is Chairman, Long Distance Drivers and Conductors Association. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
All right.
And my one word to NTSA. Let them not deal with the circle management or the companies for the trucks. Let them deal with drivers directly. There is a body that represents drivers, and that is LODCA.
Well, thank you. Well, gentlemen, and of course, that has been very insightful discussion, and we move on. The Africa International Association Landscape Ecology Conference being held at Safari Park Hotel has entered the home stretch today, marking its fourth day. Researchers attending the conference stress on the need to improve various modes of communication to enable researchers to easily exchange ideas for the betterment of the workshop group. Participants also want working groups to be made effective to members. Edward Nyamu with more details.
Keynote speakers on the fourth day of the 5-day conference focused on the different methods that can be used to improve communication and sharing of data between work groups and using of a common currency in paying for services that go hand in hand with the yearly organization.
Vote, and so we have very consistent pay rates depending on whether it's high, middle, low income country. How do we tailor it? And yours is not the first chapter that has struggled with this. You know, is there alternative processes for making sure people are members even where it may be difficult to pay?
The main agenda of the Africa Yearly Member Group, which was approved in 2016, having been started in Uganda in Makerere University, is to promote the discipline of landscape ecology in Africa, conservation of biodiversity, and influencing policy dialogue on management of Africa landscape.
So some of the information that is out there about us, about the continent, about how we utilize biodiversity and how we want to utilize it is not being told by us. From gender issues to use of resources to how we want to manage the landscape, it's being told by others. So we want to start with this book where we can start to even establish the foundations of landscape ecology in Africa.
African researchers are looking forward to partnership that will save Africa government's application development cost in order to address issues affecting landscape ecology in the African continent. At the same time, President of Yale Africa Moses Azong added that there is need to develop a database for those interested, while calling on current members to establish foundation of landscape ecology in Kenya and Africa at large.
What we want to really achieve is its commitment, its participation, because the issues that are affecting the continent are very critical. They are not things that we should laugh about or play about. The issues of climate change, food security, biodiversity on the landscape. These are things that will affect the continent in the years to come. So we need real, serious, broad-based participation, so that we help governments and various institutions, application developers to address these issues.
One of this year's main achievement has been having a paperless conference, it being the first conference in the Global South, courtesy of Kenyatta University. The event will close tomorrow with the installation of a new yearly president. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
Right, the Australian High Commission, in partnership with Kenya Cultural Centre, today unveiled the Kenya-Australian Mural Project, an artist corner at the National Theatre, as part of the wider rejuvenation of the space project. Well, the project brought together the three artists from Australia and Kenya, and the Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs and Culture and Sports, Babu Namwamba, reiterated that Kenyan government is working to continue supporting the art industry. Our very own Yvonne Kimuma was in attendance and bring us the following report.
In a vibrant celebration of art and cultural exchange, the Australian High Commission and the Kenya Cultural Centre have joined forces to rejuvenate Artist Corner, domiciled at the National Theatre. This collaborative project has seen three talented female artists who are commissioned to create a special Kenyan-Australian mural, bring a burst of colour and inspiration to the once subdued space. Serving as a hub for creative expression and development, Artist Corner now stands as a testament to the power of collaboration and the transformative nature of art. Among the attendees was Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Arts and Sports, Honorable Babu Namwamba, who voiced the government's commitment to support the art industry.
That regeneration is also indicative of the new thinking in government. We are a government that is very keen, very deliberate.
Namwamba further notes that the Kenyan art scene has the potential to provide a sustainable livelihood for many Kenyan youths.
And just making sure that our artists, our creatives work in a better atmosphere, and that their work pays and pays well, and that what they do can support respectable, sustainable livelihoods. So it's really a symbol of that whole new dawn.
On his part, the Australian High Commissioner to Kenya, Mr. Luke Williams, noted that both cultures stand to benefit out of such partnerships.
We're extremely honoured to partner with Kenya's Ministry of Youth Affairs, the Arts and Sports, and the Kenya Cultural Centre to help rejuvenate the Wasani Artist Corner as an important space for young people to create and perform.
Artists were urged to continue creating art while at the same time preserving the culture that already exists. Yvonne Kemuma, KU TV.
Alright, it's now time for sporty action. The 2023-2024 Football Kenya Federation Premier League is set to kick off on 26th of August 2023 with 4 matches lined up on the day. This is according to the fixture released by the local football governing body, that is FKF, on Thursday. The defending champions Gor Mahia will begin their title defense with a clash against Sofapaka, while Tusker will travel to Mombasa to face Bandari at the Mbaraki grounds. Mozart Bet Cup winners Kakamega Homeboys will take on KCB at Buhumbu Stadium, while Nzoia Sugar will host Ulinzi at Newbies, as Newbies Shabana travel to Nairobi to face Kariobangi Sharks. Right, it's a wrap. Okay, and thank you so much for making time and donating, your generous time for the last 1 hour and a few minutes. My name is AUMA Evans. Samuel Kelo has been on our sign language interpreter tonight. Well, it's a bye-bye for now. See you next time, and God bless.